What's up everyone, it's Jason from Melton Tackle. Today we got the full lineup of Lindgren-Pitman reels, and these reels are 100% American made for you American people and some non-American people. We sell these all over the world. They're pretty much a staple on most of the big boats for dredge pulling, swordfish in the South Florida area, and even tile fish and bottom fishing for a lot of guys. We're going to start out with this black model here, which is the 24-volt model from them. This you normally find on big boats that are already plumbed and come with a 24-volt system. The advantages to that is it has about 150 pounds of pulling force, which is because of that 24-volt system. The other advantage to that is you don't get the performance loss from voltage drop when you're pulling heavier dredges like a 2-tier, 3-tier dredge where you're requiring more weight behind that to pull it. With these models, they'll do it all as well. So you have the ability to swordfish to bottom fish and then go back to your dredge pulling all within the same day. Lindgren-Pitman is one of the only reel companies that has a proper spool system where you can remove it and go and do 3 or 4 different activities during your time of fishing throughout that day. You quite literally can go tuna fishing out here with one. At the end of the day, you're coming through the South 9 or 9 area and you want to drop in a swordfish spool and give it a whack for a couple hours while you fillet some fish. That is more than capable of doing it. Not only that, but this equipment is probably some of the toughest reels on the market. I have yet to have one come back in from servicing or repair that is actually broken. The only thing I've ever had is I'm coming back from my portage down to Cabo and doing tournaments, and I want just to freshen up my reels to make sure they're ready for tournament season kind of a deal, but I've never had one come in broken, which is a pretty key thing when you're talking a $5,000+ electric reel. These are super dependable and durable. They'll work for you time and time again. They actually have a pretty cool pod system with the 24 volts that they offer. It's only sold through LP. We don't offer it ourselves, but it's something worth checking out. They're really, really cool. The other model I have here is the variable speed. You'll notice both the 24 volt and this 12 volt model both have variable speed dials. So that means they will pull at pretty much any speed you want for what you're doing. If you're bottom fishing, you want to pull up a little bit slower so you don't spin off any fish. You can go down to the lower volt or the lower speed setting here. The 24 volt pulls at about 100 feet per minute on the lowest setting. On the highest setting, 750 feet per minute. The 12 volt model in this one will pull as slow as 50 feet a minute and then go all the way up to as high as 500 feet per minute. Both of these models we see a lot of people using again for dredge fishing, for sword fishing and bottom fishing. They do it all with the removable spool. This one's set up with a dredge spool right now. We just had a few walk out the door yesterday that were fully set up for sword fishing. They're gonna go down to the San Diego and see if they can catch a few swordfish on those ones. But the 24 and the 12 variable speeds are probably our most commonly sold models out here right now. Both of these models do come with an auto function on them. So if you have line out and you're showing a display kind of similar to this one does, you'll be able to use the auto function to come back. It'll stop at once it gets to 0. These with the dials on them, there's no remote for those, but you will have to manually function the dials on them. The other model I have here is one of their S2 models. The S2 does not come with the variable speed function on it, but it does have a high and low gear on it just by a press of a button. And the low gear on that is about 200 feet per minute, and the high gear is about 400 feet per minute. These are great models as well if you're looking to save a few bucks and still get the best quality reel you possibly can. The S2 model is what you're looking for. This will do it all as well. You could swordfish, you could pull some of these dredges if you'd like as well. But we do see a lot of people bottom fishing, high-speed wahoo trolling, and deep drop sword fishing with these as well. The S2 model, again, it just doesn't have, the only difference between a lot of these, it's upgraded motherboards. It just doesn't have a variable speed system. It's not as fast as either of these two models. Still, this is a 12 volt model. It comes in graphite. The 24 volt only comes in black. The variable speed, however, does come in a billet blue and a red, both beautiful colors on that one. So if you have specific colors you're going on your boat, we can actually get you something adjust it if it's red or blue in that, or you could go with just the graphite color on these. Again, these are all serial numbered reels, so we've had a lot of boats that have problems with, you know, someone's broken into my boat and stole my LP. And more times than not, the greatness about dealing with Lindgren-Pitman is they're all real people over there you deal with. Tim Pickett's a gem of a human being. And we've actually had models go into the shop for servicing that were stolen models, and he called us, said, hey, this was your customer's reel, correct? And then boom, our customer figured out where his reel went, and all are happy, except for the dude that stole it. Rightfully so. But yeah, this is a great thing about these reels. The real quick rundown on the gears on the inside. These are not chain driven, they're belt driven on the inside with Delrin gears. They don't require a bunch of, hey, I need to go back in here and I need to grease my drags and grease this and that. They don't require that. They're very, very low maintenance, which is why we love these reels. However, if at any given time there was something wrong with a reel and a customer walked through the front door, another thing that I love is I could call Tim. I could just about figure out how to fix anything on these reels aside from the motherboard. If a motherboard goes bad, then we do need to get it back to them, and there are 5-year warranties on all these models that they will replace the motherboard, ship it back to us, and you're back in business. But I have yet to see that happen. I've had one model from a customer that went overboard. Luckily, he had a rod leash on everything, so he was able to retrieve it. It wasn't in the water for more than, you know, a minute or so, and fortunately the motherboard was good and everything worked, and all he did was send it in just to make sure it got cleaned up. There wasn't a bunch of salt buildup inside anywhere, and he was back to the races, which is why we love these reels. There's no other reel company that I could call their service department and they'll walk me through step by step on what I need to check if something's going wrong, or troubleshoot with me over the phone. We really love that we have that relationship with Lindgren-Pitman. They built this beautiful box for us and display where if you were having questions on how to operate a reel or wanted to come in and check them out and just touch them and feel them, we always keep them on display in here. And we're more than happy to walk through it with you, show you how they work, maybe even go through what would be a right pick for you, which is what we do every day with any other tackle in here at Melton Tackle. So what we're gonna do real quick, we're gonna have you guys get in a little bit closer. We're gonna take a deeper look and dive into the functions on the reel and how to use it. So if you guys follow me on in a little bit closer, you'll see the dials on the front pad here. Your motherboard's all underneath this. You've got your two man functions, as well as the reset, which would reset your depths on there. It'll also turn on the clicker, which is a rather loud clicker for a lot of you guys. It gets kind of annoying if you're on a quiet boat and just deep dropping, so if you want to shut that off, you just hit it again. On the dial pad here for the variable speed function, it works similar on both the 12 and the 24 volt. Your lowest, thinnest bar here is your slowest function. So on this 12 volt, that would be about the 50 foot per minute mark. And if you were to turn that all the way up, that goes as high as to the 500 foot per minute mark on these. If you see here, there's obviously all zeros on here right now. I have the line completely up on the dredge boom. What you'll do is as it goes out, it counts in more of a revolution than a foot, but it's closer than any other of these reels offer in terms of the nearest foot measurement. So what you're looking at on these is most of the time is a form of a revolution. So when I let this line out here, you'll see it starts to count, right? So that is going to be roughly, we'll call it roughly 4 feet, 5 feet. They're not perfect. If you're deep drop sword fishing most of the time, you're gonna have to be mindful and make sure you're accurate on where you put your buoy wind-ons, or just have some sort of mark at where you want to be specifically. For the East Coast guys, they don't do it quite the same as us. They use the drop-off weight method and fish really close off the bottom. So we don't do that here as often. We actually are fishing pretty high off the bottom. You know, that whole saying of on the West Coast, we call it the swordfish spend 70-75% of their time at 1,000 feet feeding, right? Which is true and false in some cases. It's all conditional. But we don't fish that close to the bottom. We have a lot of big eye thresher that can become a problem and a gear wrecker for you. Nevertheless, on this one, you've got a little bit of line out already. I'll let a little more out. And what you'll see is it'll keep going up. In order to put this into the auto function on here, you'll see it even kind of states auto on the bottom. You hit the 2 man buttons here and it'll go into manual, and then it'll come up to the top. and hits the 0 function. Once it hits 0, it'll shut off on its own. The other thing too is if you were to let some line out and say you're sword fishing of some sort right now and your wife comes by and shuts off the power accidentally or kicks the plug, it will show 0 on here. Now, once that happens, you will have to put it into a different auto function. It's not going to work by pushing these 2 buttons. You'll actually have to hit the block auto, the reset button, and one of the man buttons at the same time. When you do that though, there is no 0 function. So if you're not paying attention and you don't have enough line left and you turn around for a second, you will wind this straight through the tip of the rod or tip of your dredge boom and might have catastrophic rod failure or other issues on that one. So we usually don't suggest guys doing that and walking away from the reel. You still need to be near it and paying attention because nobody wants to break gear or ruin anything. The other thing I'll go through real quick is the drag adjustments on this reel. They're pretty simple, similar to any lever drag reel if you're familiar with dealing with those before. What it is if you go all the way into the free spool, which is, there's a little, let's see if I can turn it a little more. There's a little bar here, if you can see it. Try and get through on this end. Now that bar is going to stop you from going all the way around and unscrewing some stuff, but that is a complete free spool at that point. What you'll do is you'll go all the way to the first line here they have on there and be really mindful and pay attention. This is one of those things where a spring scale comes handy if you're sword fishing, if you're tuna fishing. This reel will put out 110 pounds of drag. That's enough to pull the plug on the ocean or pull you overboard or break a rod holder of some sort. So you want to be mindful of what drags you're actually doing. Don't just kind of guess on these ones, or don't think you're going to go all the way into full and panic and catch that fish. You're probably going to break something or break yourself while you're doing that. These are extremely powerful reels and they're built really well. So the reel's not going to break. Rod, line, or you is going to break on those. But the micro adjustments happen at the tension knob here. So if I were to back the drag off, you can adjust, each click is an adjustment on there. Now, when I do these and set these up for customers, like our customer that was in yesterday, I generally will take a spring scale, I'll dial it all in for them, and then when they leave this house, I usually will put a piece of tape here all the way across from 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's little tick marks on here, and I put exactly what drag it is at, so he has some sort of idea of what the drag curve is that he's working with right now. Now, once you leave this place, if you're messing with this or your kid's messing with it, I can't help you as much on that one, but we will literally leave, most of these will leave the shop turnkey ready to go for our customers. And that's the great thing about these reels is they're time again, you go back and forth to them, and the drags don't change as much unless you change them. So they're really dependable reels, and everything works exactly the way they say, and the manual says it's going to work, which is what we love. But be very mindful of that. These have a ton of drag, so you want to make sure, especially with swordfish, you're not applying too much drag. Bottom fishing and whatnot isn't as big of a deal for most people, right? Most of your tile fish and stuff like that, you just, you don't want to spin them off or anything if you're coming up from deep. But yeah, I can't stress enough on these. Be mindful of what your drags are. Try and set everything, if you could be super organized about it, and put a piece of white tape here and write exactly how many pounds of drag are at each one. Use a spring scale of some sort and you'll be fairly accurate. And again, the 12 and the 24 volt work very, very similar in this case. The difference in real functions being in the S2 model, and I'll show you how that one kind of works here just after. All right, so we're gonna go over the S2 model with you guys real quick, just functions and how it works. It's pretty similar to the other models. So what we're gonna look at here is the main difference is there's no dial pad for the variable speed. It does have a high and a low speed on it. This blue button here, you'll see at the bottom, will say high and low, and that is where you get your high and low speeds from on this one with the retrieve rates. It also will have the auto mans here for the two red buttons, which will say auto, and it's plainly written on there. There's also the reset on this, the same as the other model, so you can reset if you're at a certain depth and you want to go to 0. If I were to put some line out on this puppy and go, then you are going to put it into gear. and it will stop at the 0 mark, which is a great function on all these reels that they do. It's pretty simple to use, and again, if you are needing to put it in auto and your son or wife or someone on the boat that you brought that doesn't know what's going on kicked your plug and unplugged it, you can still put them into the auto function here by just using these two until the screen blinks and you're in auto. Now that does not shut off, obviously, once you go to 0, so you're still going to want to be mindful, stay at the reel, don't walk away from it when you're doing that. And the drags on this puppy also adjust about the same way. Not about, they are exactly the same way. These all have the same free spool, and you can micro adjust your drags to get and dial into exactly the point that you want or see fit for what you're fishing. The 24 volt will all function the same way as the variable speed, just more power, more torque on that one, and is ideal for different dredge setups and 2-tier, 3-tier dredge setups and on the higher output for it. Next thing we'll go over here is I got a dredge boom system on the variable speed that we wanted to highlight in this video that we see paired with the variable speed or the S2 models for the smaller boat guys. If you don't have a big boat, you don't have the outriggers that you require to pull dredges off of that, I want to show you this model, and I want to show you a little bit of what we do with dredges here that nobody else does. Follow me on over this side. So what we have here in front of us is the full dredge combo for the small boat. If you're looking to make a greater impact and help get just a bit more of a technical spread going on a smaller boat, you've got fiberglass outriggers, or you don't have the right outriggers at all to run a full dredge system on, the Gemlux Dredge Boom is the answer for you. And you don't necessarily have to run it with an LP, although we highly suggest running the variable speed LP on this one. In the grand scheme of things, you're spending quite a bit on this gear already, so a little bit more for the right product that's going to last you a long time isn't that bad after all. This dredge boom extends, it goes from 69 inches all the way to 98 inches out. And the way these work is you're going to rig this up with a full dredge. You've got your dredge weight here going to your harness and to a single tier dredge system. You could run a double tier dredge system of the lighter stuff on this if you want to. And the way these fasten down is obviously it goes into your rod holder here, and this will go to your forward cleat and takes the brunt of the force and the tension. That way you're not popping up out of the off your pin and then swinging back. So make sure when you're running those dredges, you always tie this down. You either have a forward cleat there or somewhere you're going to tether this off to. 99.9% of the boats have a midship cleat that this is long enough to go to, and that's what we tell you and suggest you to fasten this to. The other thing we'll look at here is this is a custom firetail dredge we did for a customer, and it's one of the things that we offer here at Melton Tackle that not a lot of other tackle shops do offer. You could literally any day of the week walk into our store and say, I'm tournament fishing here, or I'm tournament fishing in Cabo, or anywhere, and say, I want to build a custom dredge system, either single, 2, or 3 tier, and we'll sit with you and do it. We can sit and pick colors and give you suggestions and help you out, just because that little bit extra that goes into helping a customer or building that relationship with you or making you feel confident with the gear that you built and helped us pick out makes a world of difference in your confidence when you're fishing. And that's a big, big deal for us fishermen. If we don't go out confident and you're not fishing a tournament with the best confidence you got that you're gonna catch something, then you kind of don't manifest a good result. And that's a key thing for us out here. So this was a custom built dredge system. The other option I built is a 2-tier Mahi system for the same customer that he's gonna be running. These firetails are killer. We really like the billfish bacons. They have a good profile, they have great movement, and just to give them a little more body, we put some Islander dredge heads up above. This is just one version of a custom dredge that we offer out here. And it's not to say that the Squid Nation pre-packed, pre-done dredges are not good. They are great as well, and they serve their purpose, and they have their time and moment where they're perfect. So we just would like to sit down and go through custom stuff with you guys and build it out. If you're spending that much money being in a tournament, or you just want to extend your program and get a little more technical, and this is the way to do it. And we would love to help you guys get there. If you have any questions on any of this stuff that you've seen, the LPs or any of the custom dredges and pricing and how we could help you out with that, you can reach us in the retail store here at 270. You can reach us at myself at extension 804 or Jason H at meltontackle.com. The other one is Andrew Alvarez, is a great help on the phone. You can reach him at extension 259 or Andrew at meltontackle.com. I think he's got an extensive amount of tournament fishing history and dealing with customers, so if you're looking for some really good input, that's an awesome guy to talk to as well. We look forward to talking to you and help you guys out.